So, hello, did you know that there are more legendary creatures in Final Fantasy than there are in all 10 Ravnica sets, including Murders at Karlov Manor, combined? It's true. Looking at every Ravnica set ever, there are only a total of 91 legendary creatures from Ravnica, whereas there are 99 legendary creatures in the Final Fantasy base set. That's just the base set, though. If you include all the legendaries in the commander decks, there's 164 Final Fantasy legendaries. Wait. So does that mean that there are more universes beyond legendary creatures than there are legendary creatures combined between Ravnica, Lorwyn, Alara, Innistrad, Dominaria, and Mirrodin/Phyrexia? Yes, it does! But that's another video, dear God. In terms of Final Fantasy, let's just focus on the base set. We've talked about the best new cards for the 99, but who's the most powerful new legendary to serve as your commander? With 99 legends to choose from, you can bet that at least one of them will be the kind of card you would absolutely love to build around for your next commander deck. There are so many sweet designs that break new ground or offer a new twist on an old classic that I had to be very selective when assembling my list of my favorite new commanders from Final Fantasy. Even with me being ruthless I say, in my evaluation of potential new commanders, I still couldn't narrow it down below 8 individual cards. Sorry, I'll give a brief overview of why each of these new legendary commanders is powerful rather than a detailed deck tech, though any one of them would make for an amazing commander brew. And remember, I am giving away 5 collector booster boxes of Final Fantasy, 5 of them this Friday the 13th, or if you want instead, I'll give you a PlayStation 5. You win the prize, you pick the prize. You either get a collector booster box of Final Fantasy, or for pretty much the same price, a PlayStation 5. Wait, it's cheaper? A PlayStation 5 is cheaper? Well, I really hope you pick the PlayStation 5. Either way, tune in on Friday the 13th to Whatnot, where I'm giving away 5 PlayStation 5s or 5 collector booster boxes of Final Fantasy. Whatnot is just like if Twitch and eBay had a baby. People are able to stream themselves while they sell items at buy it now prices or auction them off. I've got my own Whatnot store filled with cool items like signed playmats, signed magic cards like soul rings and full art lands, and other cool things. And not only that, but I'm giving you a $15 credit to spend in my store or any store when you create a new account using my invite code. Yeah, that's right. So I'm also giving you $15 to spend on magic cards or magic packs or other things on Whatnot when you go to www.whatnot.com/invite/Tolarian College. And this Friday the 13th, if you tune in and hang out with me, you might win one of 5 PlayStation 5s or collector boost. How is this less expensive than this? This is 12 packs of standard. This is the kind that actually has the disk drive too. I'll make sure you get the disk drive. I'm all about physical media. This, I guess, is physical media. Just tune into Whatnot and be sure to create a brand new account to get your $15 credit, and you might walk away with a Final Fantasy or PlayStation or just $15 to spend in my store. And thank you, Whatnot, for sponsoring this video. So who are the most powerful new commanders from Final Fantasy's base set? Let's start with not one, but 2 that have similar effects, yet with very different results. Squall, Seed Mercenary, and Cypher Imacy. Amicy? I don't know how to say all of these names, and no, the fact that I majored in English doesn't help with made-up Final Fantasy names. I'm gonna do my best, okay? Both Squall and Cypher are 4 mana, 3/4s, but Squall is in Orzhov and Cypher is in mono red. Both have the same exalted ability, though Squall's is named Rough Divide, and Cypher's has no ability name. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gets double strike until end of turn. Both Squall and Cypher also have a similar combat damage trigger, though in this case only Cypher's has an ability name. Sorry to keep pointing out the discrepancies within the similarities, I just think they're interesting. Anyway, when Squall deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. When Cypher does it, you may cast an instant or sorcery from your yard without paying its mana cost. If you do, exile it afterward. Okay, both of these have potent graveyard recursion abilities that occur when they deal combat damage, which both can deal twice in a single turn thanks to giving themselves double strike. But while that implies a lot of similar cards, evasive equipment and fewer creatures you can plan to attack with, and the payoff is similar, recurring low mana value stuff from your yard, the actual results look very different. Flashing back spells for free is great, but it's an entirely different experience than returning permanents. Squall doesn't just say non-land permanents, by the way. At a baseline, this guy can return fetch lands or evolving wilds back into play. Now that's what I call Orzhov ramp, baby. As Cypher is in mono red, there are a more narrow range of cards that he can flash back. It'll mostly be burn spells, artifact removal, and impulse-based card advantage. For that reason, I feel Squall is a better card than Cypher. But both of these cards are very strong commanders that would be fun to build around. And hey, maybe your playgroup will let you rule zero them into being partner commanders. Maybe not. Next up is a card I'll only touch on for a moment, but I had to include for what it does for its color identity. Or should I say, for what it does for its colorless identity? This next card is Ultima, Origin of Oblivion. Ultima, Origin of Oblivion, is a 5-mana 4/4 colorless god with flying. Whenever he attacks, put a blight counter on target land. That land loses all land types and abilities, and taps only for colorless mana. Also, anytime you tap a land for colorless mana, that land produces an additional colorless. Ultima, Origin of Oblivion offers another option to folks who love colorless decks in Commander, but are maybe tired of those decks always being Eldrazi decks. And Ultima, Origin of Oblivion is a really sweet option for those players. The mana ramp it offers is particularly valuable for colorless decks, since colorless decks tend to have to play overcosted versions of certain effects that colored decks might get to run premium versions of. Removal, for instance, is always more expensive for colorless decks than colored decks relative to what the removal spell does. As for Ultima, Origin of Oblivion's second ability, well, the attack trigger is an interesting and flavorful way to slowly strangle your opponents out of their best lands. Unfortunately, this ability might not be welcome at certain tables due to the taboo against messing with opponents' lands. For that reason, I've put Ultima, Origin of Oblivion down here lower on the list, despite it being a particularly powerful commander. By the way, I've had to say Ultima, Origin of Oblivion in full every time, because I can't shorten it to just Ultima because there's another card in Final Fantasy that's just called Ultima, and it's entirely different from Ultima, Origin of Oblivion. Also, there's Ultima Weapon, which I understand is an entirely different thing. So many Ultimas. Who's the Ultima? All right, we're down to the top 5 most powerful new commanders from Final Fantasy, and number 5 on this list is one of the most unique commander designs that I've seen in quite a while. Zenos Galvvis, just go with it, is a 5-mana 4/4 human noble warrior that I'm told hails from Final Fantasy XIV. When Zenos enters, choose a creature an opponent controls. Until end of turn, every creature other than Zenos and the chosen creature get -2/-2. When the chosen creature leaves the battlefield, transform Zenos Galvvis into Shinryu, Transcendent Rival. Shinryu is an 8/8 dragon with flying. As it transforms, choose an opponent. When the chosen player loses the game, you win the game. Essentially, what a commander deck built around Zenos does is it turns games of Commander into a warped version of Arch Enemy, or more accurately, a variant of Protect the President. The moment the card transforms and selects an opponent, you become the primary threat at the table, and the other 2 opponents not selected suddenly have a vested interest in keeping the chosen opponent alive. As far as how you build your deck, Zenos Galvvis doesn't really ask you to do anything in particular. I guess you probably need a removal spell for the creature you choose on the front side to guarantee Zenos transforms, but beyond that, you can kind of just build your deck however you want. Or more accurately, you can build your deck however you want within the altered constraints of trying to only kill a single opponent while all 3 opponents gang up to take you out. You'll want to run more removal to keep yourself alive, and your kill conditions can be borrowed more directly from 1v1 formats, since you don't have to take everyone out to win. I think it's cool when a card creates an alternate game mode all on its own. It's not the kind of deck you'd want to run at every game, but as a means of mixing things up and stretching what a game of Commander can look like. Oftentimes, these alternate game mode cards are only able to be run in the 99, but Zenos offers this from the command zone, making him one of the wildest and most unique new designs in Final Fantasy. Next up is a cute little enterprising guy who might just provide your opponents with trinkets such as a PlayStation 5 or a collector booster box of Final Fantasy. No, that's me. I'm the one giving those away, but he's got some cool things to give away himself. Stiltskin Moogle Merchant is a 1-mana 1/2 Moogle with lifelink. Pay 2 and tap Stiltskin to give control of one of your permanents to an opponent and draw a card. Relative to many of the other legends in Final Fantasy, Stiltskin is a pretty simple card. We've seen effects like this before. In one sense, Stiltskin is just a mini version of Zedru the Great-Hearted, for instance. But because Stiltskin is mono-white and because it costs just 1 mana, I feel Stiltskin brings something new and interesting to the table. Mono-white can be a hard color identity to run in Commander. While the color is not quite in the same dire straits it was in 5 years plus ago, as Wizards of the Coast has put a dedicated effort toward printing powerful white cards for the format, it nonetheless is still probably the worst mono color in Commander. That's why I really like what Stiltskin offers players who are interested in adding a mono-white Commander deck to their repertoire. As it stands prior to Final Fantasy, mono-white has very few niches. You've got mono-white angels, mono-white life gain, mono-white auras, artifacts, tokens, stacks, and blink. There are a few other niches out there, but you know what mono-white doesn't have right now? A group hug politicking commander. Stiltskin comes down on turn 1, and you can start drawing your cards as early as turn 2 if you have a 0-drop to give away, such as Darksteel Relic, or any number of other cards. You can give players good permanents to buy their support, or you can give away bad cards to bad players to punish them for their misdeeds. When all is said and done, Stiltskin will likely not be among the 5 or even 10 most played commanders from Final Fantasy. His archetype just isn't popular enough, and after all, mono-white is still mono-white. But because of his particular niche where he operates so effectively and, let's face it, so cutely, I'm still giving him a spot in my top 5. And next up, we have another monocolor commander. This time we're talking mono-blue? Ishola Rule is a 3/5 cat druid for 4 generic and 2 blue mana with a single, very, very sweet ability. At the beginning of your end step, flicker a creature. Then, if it's the first end step of the turn, there is an additional end step after this step. What I love about Ishola Rule is that despite only having a singular and pretty straightforward ability, she provides you with 2 simultaneous deck-building lanes. You want plenty of creatures that are good to blink, yes, but you also want to fill your deck with cards that trigger on end step. The second category of card is actually the most important card to include in your Ishola deck. Per her templating, Ishtola's ability to blink cool stuff is gated to only twice per turn, but any other end step triggers you have in play will each also happen twice per turn, meaning there's ample room for lateral battlefield growth. Conjurer's Closet, Shamil the Inner Sun, Agent of Treachery each trigger twice, and the latter of which can also be blinked twice with Ishola in devastating fashion. Thassa Deep Dwelling blinks 2 creatures, Palantir of Orthanc gets 2 triggers, Unstoppable Plan untaps all your non-land permanents twice, giving you a window to cast instants or float mana between untaps. Any Monarch triggers you control trigger twice, which means Archivist of Gondor draws you 4 cards when you control the monarchy. This is a really cool thing for a mono-blue card to be able to do. As a 6-mana card, you'll have to be careful that you can protect her from removal, but if you can keep her in play, the value she'll accrue will be tremendous. So who are the top 2 new legendary creature cards from Final Fantasy to serve as your commander? Well... Alright, remember, you're not making fun of how I pronounce these names, but Hope Estheme, is that correct? Estheme is a 2-mana, 2/2, white-blue human wizard hailing from Final Fantasy XIII. Hope has lifelink and an end-step trigger. Each opponent mills X cards, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. The art on Hope does such a good job conveying what its ability does. Gain a ton of life on your turn, then send a wave crashing down on your opponent's libraries. And when this card gets going, it really gets going. All the life gain capabilities that white offers with all the mill ability of blue combines to easily kill your opponents simultaneously within just a few turns. Because Hope is just a 2-mana card, you'll start your engine early, as quickly as turn 2 if you put a life gain card into play on turn 1. And because this commander only costs 2 mana, your opponents are going to have a hard time keeping it in the command zone for very long. Get an Alahamrit's Archive in play to double the amount of life you gain, and therefore double the amount of cards you mill. Then, if you slap a Fraying Sanity on a player who you believe particularly deserves it, that player gets milled for 4 times as much as they would had neither the Archive nor the Sanity been in play. Now that's just one of many suggestions, but isn't this a fun commander? Hope's theme is a sweet twist on both the life gain and mill archetypes. I love it so much when cards do this. Bridge the gap between 2 distinct archetypes that previously had little, if any, connection. By combining 2 disparate, oft-tread paths, Hope offers Azorius players something brand new to the color pie and to the commander format as a whole. And now we've saved the best for last. Who is our #1 pick from Final Fantasy? Well, the #1 best new commander is Franz Kafka, famed author of the book The Metamorphosis, which is a story about Gregor who wakes up one morning as a giant cockroach. Wait, what? I haven't played much Final Fantasy, but I think this sounds incorrect. Hold on. Oh, sorry, my bad. #1 on the list is Kefka, Court Mage. Sorry, I must have gotten my notes mixed up. Literary analysis was what I always taught in the morning. Kefka, Court Mage is a 4/5 human wizard for 2 generic and 1 of each Grixis mana. Kefka has a Titan template trigger. When Kefka enters and when it attacks, each player discards a card. Then you draw a card for each card type among cards discarded this way. As a sorcery, you can also pay 8 generic mana to make each opponent sacrifice a permanent of their choice, and this will transform Kefka. But just what does Kefka transform into? Gregor, monstrous vermin, a 5/7 cockroach that... All right. Sorry, but what do you expect? Jesse and I are both English majors. The only thing our degrees are good for is making Kafka jokes. Joking aside, Kefka actually transforms into Kefka, ruler of Rune, a 5/7 avatar wizard with flying, and whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that many cards. Kefka is a really strong card. Its front side alone is a ridiculous card draw engine that slowly strips your opponents of resources. Yes, you have to discard a card as well, but you can use that as a discard outlet to set up graveyard synergies. And even beyond that, you can use the card you discard to boost the total number of card types being discarded by discarding a card with 2 unique types, like Urza's Saga or the Aether Spark. Flipping Kefka into its avatar form is more of an endgame condition, as 8 mana at sorcery speed is a hefty cost, which is quite vulnerable to opposing removal, though they'll still have to sacrifice a permanent even if they remove Kefka. But if you pull off the transformation, then the backside of Kefka is utterly insane. You draw cards for each point of life your opponents lose on your turn? Are you serious? That means Kefka draws you 5 cards when it hits an opponent. This is like stapling Ancestral Recall to a lightning bolt. Honestly, the transformed version of Kefka is so absurd, you might as well call it Kefka-esque. Huh? Kefka? Alright, that's the last joke in the video, I promise. It's also the last card in the video because Kefka is our #1 pick for Best New Commander from Final Fantasy. And of course, those were just my picks, but again, there are 99 legendaries in this set. I surely missed a card that you think is a banger for the command zone, so why don't you let me know in the comments below? And remember to check out our video on the best new cards for the 99 of your commander deck, as well as watching me, Krim, Numat the Nummy, and Gavin Verhey play Final Fantasy on the newest 2 episodes. That's right, there's a bonus episode of Shuffle Up and Play here. And also here. There were 2 episodes. Did you watch them both? Don't just watch one. We had another one in a totally different format. There's multiple things you can do with these cards. No, really, just watch. It's linked. Watch the bonus one. No one's watching it. And be sure to tune in on June 13th, where I will give 5 lucky winners the choice between a Final Fantasy Collector Booster Box or just a brand new PlayStation 5. This is actually going to be cheaper for me, so I hope you pick this one, because it'll be cheaper for me to send 5 winners 5 PlayStation 5s than it will be for me to send 5 collector booster boxes of Final Fantasy. But be sure to tune in on Whatnot, and when you create a brand new account, You get that $15 credit to spend on my store or anyone's store. See you on that giveaway stream, and thank you Whatnot for sponsoring this video.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
Today, we don't have a theme.
No theme.
The theme is friendship.
Yay!
The Gathering. We're here to play a brand new, never before seen format called Commander.
I'm going to be spicing up your life by making you make decisions.
Wait, you just put those down without looking.
No,
There's no master plan.
You're absolutely right.
Oh, God.
If you're a sucker.
Does anyone else think this looks like a little bit like saffron olive? Has anyone said that before?
Thank you. Thank you for the mommy.
You guys are welcome. You're welcome. Hero of the table, the blue mage, I know.
Did you just
I
drop
dropped a deuce. Yeah, sure did, buddy.
If you drop that grand arbiter on turn 2 or whatever, I swear to God, I got madcap skills, yo.
Yeah.